see exactly how the die roll shook out here. That can often be a factor in these games, game one situation at least. When we get to the sideboard, this matchup has some pretty interesting elements. But just being proactive is going to matter a lot in this matchup in the game one situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Hollow One decks win what I would consider as unfavorable matchups simply because they are kind of like a combo deck in their makeup, and they're occasionally just more consistent than the other decks around them while still maintaining a roughly the same speed. I consider Hollow One a lot like a dredge deck, which, yeah, you're more of like a turn 3, turn 4, maybe sometimes turn 5 combo deck if your opponent isn't interacting with you. But you do it more consistently than a lot of these like Goryo's Vengeance decks or things like that. The difference here is that Ironworks is insanely consistent thanks to almost all of its cards drawing a card cycling early in the game.
Whitehouse wins the flip. Darksteel Citadel, Chromatic Stars a start, but Gaieski is going to show off the first display of fireworks. Arid Mesa down to 19, and here's Burning Inquiry.
I hope they roll 10-sided die.
I hope they point to cards very quickly.
And that, sir, is the difference between me and you.
All right, the discard. Bloodstained Mire, Blackleaf Cliffs, and Lightning Bolt hitting the bin for Gaieski. On Whitehouse's side, Ancient Stirrings, Over the Burnt Willows, Mox Opal?
All right.
One Hollow One.
Yeah, definitely a good start here for Ethan. Having that turn 1 Hollow One is a big deal. He discarded 2 lands too, which could potentially be bad, but it looks like he has a second land at least in hand, so that's more than fine.
Yep. A fine first turn, a 4-4, as well as looking at some cards, messing up some hands. So we go back to Whitehouse, go over the Burnt Willows. Here's Ichor Wellspring, draw a card, Mox Opal, and another Ancient Stirring. So he had everything that he lost.
Yeah, and if Whitehouse is able to assemble land plus Ironworks on the following turn, he has 2 artifacts in play that can sacrifice to gain mana and draw cards. Looks like he's in really good shape as long as he has that Ironworks at the ready next turn.
Inventor's Fair was the fine off of Ancient Stirrings. If he doesn't have the Ironworks now, he can get it in relatively short order. Right. We'll see how much time he has, though. So go back to Gaieski. He'll start by cycling the Street Wraith. He's down to 17.
Faithless Looting off the top here after that cycle. This could go a number of ways. You know, a single Hollow One is usually a pretty fast start for these decks, but something like Mox Opal just changes that math completely. Mox Opal kind of stealing the turn away from the Hollow One deck, and even though he's able to kind of cheat this 4-4 onto the battlefield on the first turn, it doesn't look like he's that far ahead if he was probably behind.
Right. Yeah, just being able to have some turn 3s because of Mox Opal, and it definitely increases your percentage of your turn 4s.
Yeah, plus it's just a huge part of the deck in general. The Mox Opal, alongside Scrap Trawler, just lets all of your 1-mana artifacts that say draw a card generate an excess of mana.
Here's an attack for 4 for Gaieski. That's going to knock Whitehouse to 16, and then a post-combat Gurmag Angler. Exiles the full graveyard, leaves up a basic mountain untapped, representing maybe a Lightning Bolt to push off a Scrap Trawler during a combo. On Whitehouse's side, there's the Inventor's Fairy found off of the Ancient Stirrings. This is a big tap. Looks a lot like an Ironworks to me, and that it is.
Yeah, 4 mana, that's either an Ninja Explosives for 2 and popping it, or an Ironworks. Looks like the latter.
A little bit better than the other one.
Yeah. We're going to see Whitehouse go through some iterations here and try to find an infinite combo somewhere along the way.
All right, here's Explosives for 0 is where he's going to start. He's going to sacrifice that for 2 mana.
Yeah, and he's sacrificing things that aren't these card draw effects, so I'm assuming he has a Scrap Trawler in hand, and he's about to go for it right now.
Sacrifices Darksteel Citadel and Mox Opal, goes up to 6 mana. Here's Chromatic Sphere. Maybe he doesn't have the Trawler just yet.
Well, perhaps not.
Or he does. Down to 2 mana. There's the Scrap Trawler.
I'm super smart.
And now he's really going to go to work. Sacrifices Chromatic Star, trigger to draw a card, trigger off the Scrap Trawler. Gaieski is going to hold him here.
Yeah, and so Whitehouse very smartly recognized the potential for Lightning Bolt here on the Scrap Trawler, which is why he sacrificed all of his 0-mana artifacts before casting Scrap Trawler. And now with this trigger on the stack targeting something like Mox Opal, even if Ethan is able to Lightning Bolt down the Scrap Trawler, the Whitehouse is going to be able to bring back the Mox Opal, the Engineer Explosives, and the Darksteel Citadel.
Yeah, really good sequencing. Very heads up by Whitehouse there. And Gaieski does have the Lightning Bolt. It's going to target the Trawler. We'll find out in a couple iterations with this Ironworks if that's enough. Whitehouse still has access to a few extra cards here, though this was the last card in his hand.
Right. So he's going to get back the Mox Opal with the Chromatic Star. He's going to probably pop the Chromatic Sphere to cycle to draw a card and make like a green or a blue mana and get back the Engineer Explosives. And then he's going to sacrifice the Ichor Wellspring to get back the Chromatic Star that is currently in the graveyard with the abilities on the stack.
As you mentioned, the Mox Opal currently targeted with the Trawler ability. With the Lightning Bolt on the stack, he's going to sacrifice his Chromatic Sphere. Looks like he's filtering that into blue mana. Now 7 mana floating. He's going to sacrifice his other artifacts as well. There goes the Ichor Wellspring. There goes the Scrap Trawler. Getting back Ichor Wellspring off of the Trawler itself. There's Chromatic Star.
And he's doing this neat little trick that you can do. This is how they do the infinite combo. They use a mana ability like a Chromatic Sphere or Star or something like that, and they sacrifice all of their artifacts to pay for it. And with all these abilities all these mana abilities being used to pay for that, or overpay for that Chromatic Sphere, he's able to basically sack everything at the same time. So Scrap Trawler sees Ichor Wellspring sees Chromatic Star, and then the Chromatic Star sees Mox Opal, and so on.
The second Mox Opal, the one that was discarded to Burning Inquiry, was the other pickup there. Couple draws for Whitehouse. So now the hand a little bit stacked and a couple redraws picked up. Here's Ichor Wellspring.
I'm pretty sure he just drew another Scrap Trawler, so...
That ought to do it.
Oh, no, it's a Terrarion. I'm dumb.
That's less good.
Yep, I agree. I am much more familiar with the older picture of Terrarion.
Yeah, the heavily played Ravnica copy.
Oh.
Here you see the reason to float the blue. This is a Psy Master Thopterus. Might not be a combo this turn. Well, actually, that one helps you a lot when it comes to comboing.
Oh, absolutely. Every time you play an artifact, it effectively generates an extra 2 mana. But it's kind of like, 2 mana or Thopter. It's your choice. And in this particular situation, with a Gurmag Angler and a Hollow One sitting on the other side of the battlefield, a Thopter is fine.
Yeah, it's also half a card.
Right.
Plenty of mana to start going to work sacrificing those.
Yeah, and if you have the Scrap Trawler on the battlefield using Mox Opal Scrap Trawler and just a chain of 1 mana artifacts, you can not only generate a boatload of mana, but you can activate Psy Master Thopterus quite a few times if you want to.
Here's one of the Mox Opals for Whitehouse. That'll make a Thopter off the Psy. It's like we're trying to track down the Thopter tokens. There's one.
Hold on, I'm sure Nick Miller's got a few in his bag right now. So
That's true, yeah. Let's get some Nick Millers out there.
Nick Miller right next to me. Nick Miller, go give him some of your Thopter tokens. They're out of them.
The Opal is going to make a blue mana. That makes sense. Maybe saving that to activate the Psy later. Here's Chromatic Star. There's another Thopter. Another Chromatic Star. Down to 2 floating mana in the colorless variety. Another blue. There's a third Thopter.
Tell you what, this deck certainly is fun to watch and definitely deserves to be in Modern.
Everybody loves this.
Yeah, this is the best.
And nobody loves it more than Ethan Gaieski, who is having a great time watching Evan Whitehouse play.
I have never seen crossed arms before look so sad.
There's a sacrifice of Mox Opal and Chromatic Star using Psy Master Thopterus. It's going to be 2 draws.
We have been told by the director that Nick Miller started running from his computer next to me and handing them his last 2 Thopter tokens that he brought with him on the trip.
That's excellent. This injustice must be corrected. Whitehouse still at it. There's that other Mox Opal. There's that Nick Miller Thopter token. Looks like he made some more blue mana. He's going to activate the Psy again. Sacrifices Mox Opal and Chromatic Star to the Psy here. It's going to be 2 more draws. There's a Mirror Retriever. Do we have a loop yet? Gotta be close.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows.
If you don't have Scribe Troll, I don't think you have a loop. So it doesn't. Yeah, look at that face. No, look back, baby. Show me them doe eyes.
Which, just that picture caption played some games today.
There it is.
Yeah, Mirror Retriever's going to track down the Scrap Trawler. That's gonna do some things. Anyway, Ethan Gaieski's seen enough. Evan Whitehouse wins game 1 here in the Ironworks versus Hollow One affair. We're going to check out sideboards. Gaieski did bring some relevant tools to the table. The full sideboard for him. 1 Fatal Push, 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Leyline of the Void, 2 Engineered Explosives, 3 Grim Lavamancers, and a Terminate. I think the Leyline of the Void is the slam dunk here.
Yeah, Leyline of the Void is particularly strong against Ironworks since a lot of their kind of like mini little infinite combos and stuff use the graveyard. Locking out Scrap Trawler is a big deal. Plus, a lot of their artifacts actually rely on going to the graveyard to put a trigger on the put a trigger on the stack regardless. Leyline of the Void turns off Chromatic Star, Mirror Retriever, Terrarion. Yeah, just a whole slew of cards out of the deck.
How do you feel about Thoughtseize in this matchup on the Hollow One side?
I don't think you can afford to over-sideboard too much, but I think it's definitely warranted. You want as much interaction against this deck as you can fit, especially when it's cheap like Thoughtseize or Leyline of the Void. I'd be looking to get rid of like all the Fatal Pushes. I think there's a stray Lightning Bolt somewhere in the list that you can get rid of as well. And then other than that, though, maybe like a couple of creatures like the Bloodghast or the Flamewake Phoenixes since they're not super good in the matchup.
Sure. On Evan Whitehouse's side, his sideboard is 1 Tormod's Crypt, 2 Galvanic Blast, 2 Lightning Bolt, nice little split there, 4 Nature's Claim, a Swan Song, 2 Negate, a Fire Spout, 3rd copy of Psy Master Thopterus, and a Worm Coil Engine.
Yeah, so this sideboard is, you see the 2 Galvanic Blast, 2 Lightning Bolt. That's a nod specifically to the card Meddling Mage, I believe. Galvanic Blast is obviously a more powerful card. The odds of you having 3 artifacts in play when you're trying to cast this card is very high. But taking care of something like Psy Master Thopterus at 4 toughness is pretty important in the mirror. I don't expect the Lightning Bolts to come in this matchup, but there is a chance that Evan Whitehouse recognizes Hollow One as the premier threat and wants to be able to take it out of the equation. But if he's going to do that, I think I would much rather just have some number of Nature's Claims. So, I don't know. Some combination of those might come in, but honestly, I think it's just going to be business as usual. I know that Psy Master Thopterus is insanely good in the matchup, but maybe a Tormod's Crypt, but other than that, I don't know. The Worm Coil Engine seems okay, I guess.
Sure. It's a little bit bigger than Hollow One and Gourmet Angler. You can see that one coming to play.
Lifelink is also a pretty big deal in the fact that it has multiple lives, even if Ethan does have some way to get off the battlefield is important.
Right. So we're here at twitch.tv/SCGTour. You can also find us Tuesdays and Thursdays every week for Versus Live. We've been doing this for a couple months now. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You get to see some of the greatest minds here at Star City Games, including Todd Anderson here.
What's up?
Battling live every week.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a deep dive into Ravnica Allegiance Standard. We played a little bit this past Thursday, Ross Merriman, myself, and then on Tuesday, Ross Merriman and I are going to go head-to-head again as we try to build the best decks we can with the preview cards we've seen thus far from Ravnica Allegiance.
Yeah, we got to preview a card earlier this weekend on the broadcast.
Oh, what was that?
We had Drill Bit.
Ooh.
I don't know if you started building decks with this one yet. Probably not you. You just saw it and you've been working. But this is a new Spectacle Thoughtseize-esque kind of card, which will be interesting to see if this can fit into the Rakdos decks.
Yeah, this is definitely a discard spell slanted towards aggressive strategies. The Spectacle ability is very good when you're attacking, but don't count it out in that just as an aggressive card. For 3 mana, it's fine. You know, it takes away any card. There's no restriction on what it can take, and it triggers on any amount of life loss for the Spectacle ability, so it doesn't have to be attacking. You could just, like, I don't know, lightning strike your opponent and then cast it if you want to, or something like that. And also, we haven't seen a lot of the cards that could come out of Rakdos yet. Think about something like Electrostatic Field.
Yeah.
You know, you cast like a card draw spell, shoot your opponent for 1, and then all your spectacle cards are turned on. So and that's not even something we've seen out of Ravnica Allegiance yet. There might be like little enablers all along the mana curve that could turn on spectacle.
Yeah, to get a better idea of what will be in the set, you can see more this and more previews at go.starcitygames.com/RNA. Plenty of great websites, great preview articles on StarCityGames.com, rather, talking about the new cards. It's always, spoiler season is the best.
Preview season.
Preview season. Spoiler season stinks. Preview season's great.
Spoiler season is what happens when some jerk gets a hold of the entire file and posts it on the internet.
Yeah,
this is preview season.
That's the bad one.
This is the best one.
You're right. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Please forgive me.
I have literally 20 years of the word spoiler ingrained in me. It's really hard to get out.
I'm also somebody, before I see a movie, I like to read a synopsis.
Really?
I think that there's that's how I know I'm going to like the movie.
Wow. Okay.
I'm a weirdo. I get it, but that's my bias. I'm telling you what my bias is.
Well, my bias is reading the trailers. I like to watch them and be like, okay, this movie is either the work of a master craftsman when it comes to making trailers, or this movie is going to be great.
I actually read spoilers before and reviews after. I want to figure out what other people thought of the movie after I saw it.
So you're a frequenter of the Rotten Tomatoes message boards, or
not the message boards? not the message boards. I check out the pages though. We're underway in Game 2 here. Ethan Gaieski did lose Game 1. He'll be on the play. Bloodstained Mire fetches up Blood Crypt. He's at 17. There's a Thoughtseize, so those have come in out of the sideboard. Full 4 available. Not sure how many he brought in, but at least 1.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer honestly, but don't think too hard about it, okay?
Okay.
How many turns of Magic did we watch last game?
4? No, between both players?
Yep.
5.
You're correct.
Nailed
5
it.
turns. A turn 3 kill on the play from the Ironworks combo deck. This time around, Ethan Gaieski has sideboarded in these Thoughtseizes to have a little more interaction. Doesn't lead with a turn 0 Leyline of the Void, but the Thoughtseize taking away the Ironworks should strip Whitehouse of his ability to kill on the 3rd turn at least, hopefully.
Yeah, so Gaieski will fall to 15. He does take that Ironworks, leaves a hand of Grover the Burnwillows, 2 Darksteel Citadels, an Ichor Wellspring, a Mox Opal, and a Chromatic Star. On Whitehouse's side, there's the first Citadel and the Chromatic Star. He'll pass it back.
Yeah, Mox Opal here, if Whitehouse is able to peel an Ironworks pretty quickly here, that Mox Opal with the Ichor Wellspring next turn and the Chromatic Star on the battlefield right now could spell trouble for Gaieski even through that Thoughtseize.
Yeah. On the second turn, Gaieski will start with the Faithless Looting, try to shape up the hand, get some kind of pressure going. Even though the coast is a little bit clear right now, he does have to be the beatdown at some point as he discards a Bloodstained Mire and a Bloodghast. Plays a Bloodstained Mire for turn, Bloodghast comes back.
He tricked me.
So you thought it was a Sulphurous Springs?
I thought it was Sulphur Springs.
The white border gotcha.
I was about to comment on how cool it was that he was playing Sulphur Springs in his deck. I have his list in front of me, and he tricked me. You whiteboarded your cards? Are you kidding me?
I like whiteboarding the fetch lands. Like some people whiteboarder the dual lands so that you can find them when you're searching, but that's the opposite of what he did. That's amazing. He'll crack that Bloodstained Mire. He's at 14, finds a swamp. Here's a Tasigur. Tasigur Bloodghast online. There's his clock. What has Whitehouse got now?
Man, Thoughtseize is 6 power. That's really powerful. I really hope he dies next turn. I want Ironworks to do the most busted stuff possible because I just want it to be banned. I don't even care if it's too good. It's too much. It's too much, man.
It's a lot, as you mentioned. Just 5 turns of the previous game. This one might be on a similar course. Whitehouse's second turn, there's that second Darksteel Citadel, a Mox Opal, an Ichor Wellspring, and an Ancient Stirring. So despite the fact that Gaieski has Thoughtseized, he now is looking at a very different holding for Whitehouse.
Yeah, for sure. Ichor Wellspring has drawn a card, kind of cycled. Ancient Stirring's finding a Terrarion, I believe.
I think that's a Scrap Trawler. There's a little box in the bottom right-hand corner.
Man, see?
That's the giveaway. That's the giveaway. You got to use your context clues, Todd.
Is this Blue's Clues?
This is actually an elementary school educational program.
Yeah. I'm just a bill. Hanging out on Capitol Hill.
Oh, that's the good. They don't make them like that anymore.
They do not.
Back on Gaieski's side. Untapping with 6 power worth of attackers. But against that Scrap Trawler, once Whitehouse just casts that, that's going to blunt the offenses quite a bit. And that's if that's all Whitehouse has in the next turn. Here's an attack for 6, so not looking to spin any wheels before the attacks, which is interesting as he is holding a Burning Inquiry.
I think he's about to play a Flameblade Adept. I don't. Okay, he has a couple options this turn. One of which is Burning Inquiry, which he could have done before attacks. I don't know what's happening here. It seems like a pause. We'll figure it out here in a second here.
Not clear, but 6 damage does come across. Whitehouse falls to 14. Blood Crypt untapped for Gaieski, and there is Flameblade Adept.
Of course, in these team tournaments, we will occasionally have little pauses like that as teams confer with each other. We were confirmed just now by the judge spotting that Whitehouse was conferring with one of his teammates. Gaieski here does play that Flameblade Adept in preparation for trying to go for a kill next turn. I believe he has Burning Inquiry and Faithless Looting in hand next turn, which could add up to a lot of damage.
Yes. Just off pumping the Adept alone, not to mention maybe adding some Phoenixes, Blood Gas. Well, not Blood Gas, I suppose. Whitehouse is at 14. But some Phoenixes could be nice. There's that Grove of the Burn Willows for Whitehouse. And Master Thopterus, that is a little bit better than the Scrap Trawler. Follows that up with Terrarian. Here's a Thopter token. Quick updates from the back tables. Our Feeney versus Kiihne matchup is all tied up 1-1. Abe Corrigan is currently up a game against Chris Turnbull.
If I'm not mistaken, we may have Storm versus Banned Spirits, that Kiihne-Feeney matchup, as our time-shifted match. So don't go anywhere after this one's finished.
That's a pretty good matchup. That's a fun one to watch.
Oh, for sure. The Banned Spirit deck has a lot of tools to interact with the Storm player. But Storm is just awesome to watch, and Kiihne clearly very, very good with the archetype, as we saw yesterday, and his multiple double grape shot finisher games.
Yeah, he had a really nice camera match. Gaieski's going to start off with the Faithless Looting here. He'll discard Blackcleave Cliffs and Gurmag Angler. No time for that Angler, you got to figure. And then a Hollow One is the follow-up. 1 card in hand. It's Burning Inquiry. He'll cast it.
Yeah, this probably means there's no lethal this turn, but that was already the case basically with the Master Thopterus and the Thopter token on the battlefield already.
Gaieski flips over a Blood Gas and a Goblin Lore. Looks like there's a little bit of concern that he grabbed the 3rd card, might have seen the 4th card in his deck. Meanwhile, we'll resolve Whitehouse's Burning Inquiry as they do figure out what they want to do about that deck.
Yeah, the normal fix is usually you take the one that it's supposed to be if both players agree which one it was. If neither player can agree, usually you shuffle and do one at random. But it's going to probably be a warning for Gaieski. But this is commonplace. Mechanical errors like this happen all the time in tournaments, and it's a pretty easy fix.
Yep. Not a big deal. So we'll see exactly what the resolution there is, and it looks like they have come up with something. They identified the last card flipped over was just the top card. That went to the graveyard. Gaieski may have seen the 4th card down. They're going to give the deck a quick shuffle, and that's all going to be good.
Yeah, and of course, players are allowed to accrue 2 warnings of any given type of warning before any major penalty is assessed. On the 3rd one, usually that penalty ends up being a game loss. As long as Gaieski doesn't have any previous penalties like that, he should be fine.
Yeah.
I never want to stigmatize calling a judge. In that specific scenario, calling a judge is great. Calling a judge in 99% of scenarios is great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conversation about, there's a stigma of calling judge on your opponent, but that's a situation where you have to call a judge on yourself.
Right.
But they're there to help. They're not there to just qualify you for a dexterity error.
Yeah.
They're just there to fix things.
Yep. Make sure everything's on the up and up,
So that inquiry does resolve. Whitehouse losing Opal Stirrings, and that might be the Scrap Trawler, the 3rd card down.
Now, we go in for some blocks here. There could be a double block on the Flame Blade Adept. It is currently very big. I believe 6 power with the Burning Inquiry as well as the Faithless Looting.
Yep.
We could see a Chump block and a Bloodghast block, which I think is the case, taking 6 down to 8.
Yeah, Thopter jumps in front of Tasigur. Sai eats the Bloodghast. Adept connects, and we are back to Whitehouse. What is left over in that 2-card hand?
All right, the draw for the turn here, with the Side Master Thopterus in play, even if he doesn't have Karkline Ironworks right now, he could just start popping off Chromatic Star, Terrarion, digging for more cheap artifacts, and just make a bunch of Thopters with Side to buy time. Side Master Thopter is very clearly a huge role player in this particular matchup against Hollow One.
Well, there's Ancient Stirrings. It finds Karkline Ironworks. Whitehouse shows the hand. There's a Scrap Troller. Can't see the other one, but it looks a lot like he's showing Gaieski that the game is over.
Demonstrating the loop?
Demonstrating the loop.
I think that there's a potential loop here with Side Master Thopterus, Ironworks, Scrap Trawler, and Mox Opal. I'm not 100%. I know that it's stupid.
If my Ironworks opponent has 8 non-land permanents and tells me they have infinite, I'm kind of believe them.
Yeah. Also, I just don't want to be here anymore, so it's fine.
I get to go eat lunch. This is great. There's the Karkline Ironworks. Scrap Trawler likely soon to follow. We know that Gaieski is empty-handed. You're not going to see anything coming from him here.
There's so many potential draws about to happen that, even if Whitehouse doesn't have something infinite right now, it doesn't matter. It's too much.
Yep, there's Chromatic Star, Ichor Wellspring, Terrarion. You can go to work with the Sai itself. The Scrap Trawler just gets all this stuff back.
Right, and the fact that you can keep looping the Mox Opal means you can keep floating blue mana, which allows you to activate Sai, sacking those Thopters for cards instead of mana, since he already has access to effectively infinite.
Yep.
It's not quite infinite, but it's like 40 or whatever.
Quick sacrifice of Opal Citadel. Makes some mana, casts a Scrap Trawler, starts going to work, churns through the Terrarion, gets back Mox Opal. Going to make a lot of mana, draw a lot of cards. Thopter coming down every time he casts an artifact. Blue mana floating off the Mox Opal.
All right, we need to start a straw poll in Twitch chat. Y'all want to switch over to Turnbull? Abe Corrigan? This game is over. We can watch them play through this iteration. A lot of people who are Ironworks fans, we just got a confirmation on the Backbash. Turnbull versus Abe Corrigan, 1v1.
They're going to game 3. So you have your choice between watching players shuffle.
I pick sideboarding. Please. I'm just kidding.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close, right? So Whitehouse going to continue casting these artifacts. Bunch of mana floating. 3 Thopters hanging out. The Opal keeps coming back. Chromatic Star coming down.
You want something from the concession or?
Yeah, you got time to go to the North Market? You got
Actually, yeah, plenty.
Nice selection over there.
Actually, maybe not because Ethan might concede midstream.
That's true.
And then you'll be left with the bag.
You're seeing Ethan really being a team player here. He wants to concede so badly, but he's hanging in there for his team, and that is commendable.
I'm going to tell you a cool thing here. This is for team terms concerned. Ethan knows he's dead.
Yeah.
He knows this is over. But the more time he saps from Evan Whitehouse is less help that the teammates can get from him.
That is true.
And since he has no game actions, if Whitehouse actually wants to physically win the game, he has to go through all the iterations and find the combo until he finds the infinite loop with the Mirror Retriever or some determinate loop with Spine of Ishtar.
Yeah, these are still timed rounds, right? He has to play his match. He can't just hang out and do nothing. And that actually is really interesting that you mentioned that because Whitehouse is the player on this team coming off the Invitational top 8 with Dredge. It's possible he has very relevant advice to offer Chris Turnbull.
Absolutely. And, I think in general, a lot of people just need a second opinion when it comes to something like sideboarding or a second opinion when it comes to, mulligans and such. And if he's basically sapping that information from the opposing team, it's not like he's doing nothing. He's doing something. He's forcing his opponent to cast spells, and that sometimes is enough.
And Gaieski's got nowhere to be, right? His team's still playing. He's offering help with them. He's F6 to this turn. He's empty-handed. Doesn't have to hold up any appearances. And Whitehouse hasn't found a loop yet. He's been spinning the tires a lot.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. He may have already played his land for the turn, in which case Inventor's Fair doesn't find the win immediately, so he just kind of has to go through this until he finds Spine of Ishtar or he finds Mirror Retriever.
Mm-hmm. And he has so much mana to work with, that Thopter count. Hanging out at 3 as he sacrifices 1, but he has 7 floating mana and a blue mana on top of that.
Yeah, but a handful of cards as well, multiple Dark Citadels still able to be sacrificed. The mana is no longer an issue, and clearly the cards are not really an issue either. With the blue mana floating from the Mox Opals over and over again, as well as the extra Thopters from Sai, this is very easy.
Yeah, and not short on mana at all. There's a second Ironworks, and there's a second Scrap Trawler. We're at the point where he definitely has enough mana to go through his deck, right? With a double Scrap Trawler trigger, plenty of 1s and 2s of the Chromatic Stars, the Ichor Wellsprings, the second Ironworks being expendable to go get back a 3 or a 2 from the graveyard.
Right.
There's a third Scrap Trawler. Yeah, that was discarded to the Inquiry earlier. They'll get that back by sacrificing the Ironworks.
This is turn 4, by the way.
Yep. Reasonable.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Through Thoughtseize. Splinter Twin did nothing wrong.
Well, hold on. That's got nothing to do.
Nick Miller told me to shut up off camera.
I'm hearing boos from the crowd. But
no, they're saying boo earns. Boo earns.
Evan Whitehouse, 2-0 winner over Ethan Gaieski. No help from the sideboard Leyline of the Voids. It didn't show up. The sideboard Thoughtseize didn't do it enough. We're going to be checking out another Ironworks matchup. I know you're excited for that. We have Abe Corrigan on Ironworks against Chris Turnbull on Dredge. Game 3 should be getting going pretty soon here if they haven't started already.
It looks like down in the left corner you can see they have started. Leyline of the Void here from Dredge. Not a great start otherwise. Just a fetch land tap, so no Faithless Looting. And it looks like Abe actually had the Nature's Claim to take care of that Leyline of the Void and unlocked his whole deck.
Also, okay, Corrigan, I suppose, is on the play. That's a Mox Opal, not a land, so Turnbull possibly does have to sell the second land, but he's not done anything yet. Just the Leyline in the graveyard with the fetch land.
Just the old turn 1 land Terrarion, Mox Opal into Nature's Claim, your best permanent, untap play, the best creature ever printed. No big.
Turnbull does have the turn 2 Cathartic Reunion, and he'll go to work dredging Stinkweed Imp, now Golgari Thug. There's a Prized Amalgam and a Creeping Chill. Mills over Damping Sphere. That's one you like to see in your opener. Did hit a Bloodghast with the dredges as well, though the dredging has run out. He has to take a natural draw for the third card.
Yeah, looks like he hit a Creeping Chill. Didn't exile it. Maybe he's at 23 life. I think there was probably an announcement of said Creeping Chill, but it's definitely hiding under there under that Damping Sphere, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, not sure what's going on there, but Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam hitting the graveyard.
Maybe it was a mistrigger because there is a Nature's Claim on the Leyline of the Void. So life totals could be correct and just a mistrigger on that Creeping Chill.
Huh.
Wow.
All right, so now Corrigan is going to go to work with this Sai Master Thopterus. There's a Mind Stone in the Thopter. Started the turn by sacrificing Terrarion. Here's a Scrap Trawler. There's another Thopter. This is already very scary.
I mean, as a dredge pilot in this scenario, if I don't hit something like Conflagrate very soon, which might not even be in the deck anymore because it's basically only good against Sai Master Thopterus, there's a chance this game's already over.
Yeah. And Turnbull's going to need to take another natural draw step. That is after Sai knocks him down to 22. He did draw a Cathartic Reunion. Yeah, that's about as good as it gets.
That's true. It is kind of a bummer to cast Cathartic Reunion with 2 dredgers and miss a dredger on 9 cards. But with the rebuy here off the top with a second Cathartic Reunion, we got a good shot here to do some serious damage.
That's another look. He finds Conflagrate, Ancient Grudge, and another Stinkweed Imp. So the second dredge will be that imp, and there's a third imp as well as Narcomoeba, a couple life from the Loams. A lot of land. 5 lands off of the third imp. That's not what you want to see, but he does get the amoeba back. That gives him a trigger on the Prized Amalgam that was in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Here's a land for his Bloodghast.
Not sure if any Bloodghasts are hanging out in the graveyard, but does have Prized Amalgam, which is definitely coming back from the Narcomoeba.
Yeah, there was exactly one Bloodghast. A ways off of having haste and not great against Psi-Thopter tokens.
Yeah, I mean, the step one plan here of Dredge is to accumulate a lot of power via these graveyard-related creatures, but Psi-Master Thopterus checks those quite nicely. Luckily for Turnbull, he hasn't really burned any physical card advantage here by casting Cathartic Reunion, kind of just breaking even. So even though he hasn't cast any Life from the Limbs yet, he still has a ton of cards in hand for that Conflagrate.
Yes. So we go back to Corrigan's side. He's untapping with 5 mana. Has not shown an Ironworks yet, though he does have Scrap Trawler plus Psi. Gives him an opportunity for some redraws, but a little mana intensive until you get the Ironworks online.
Yeah, it looks like Turnbull did mill over an Ancient Grudge as well, so has some options this turn. Can choose to pop that Scrap Trawler now. Can choose to take care of a Thopter token that might block next turn. Knock him off of either Mox Opal or Mindstone, or he could just save it for a potential Karklan Ironworks.
Corrigan attacks with Psi Scrap Trawler, and those are going to connect. That knocks Turnbull to 18. Post-combat, he'll cast a Terrarian. There's another Nick Miller.
All right, I have a task for Nick Miller. I'm going to make him investigate all of the players yesterday who were playing Psi-Master Thopterus and figure out who took all the Thopter tokens.
It ain't right.
No.
Got to fix that.
Yeah.
Here's a Mirror Retriever for Corrigan. There's another Thopter token coming down. Not really anything exciting to do with the Retriever just yet.
No, but it is pretty sweet alongside Psi-Master Thopterus, sacrificing the Mirror Retriever and the Scrap Trawler, and you get both back.
That is a combination.
Yeah.
It is a combination deck.
Well, actually, you get both back and a Terrarion back, so that's nice.
That's good value.
Yeah.
That's just good, honest value. Back to Turnbull. Dredge's Life from the Loam, although the Stinkweed Imps are still in his hand. There's a Creeping Chill trigger. That'll knock Corrigan to 17, Turnbull back to 21.
And you can see how, like, you know, not great attacking is with these, like, Psi-Master Thopterus and Scrap Trawlers. Even though he has this large creature advantage and large power advantage on the battlefield, cards like Nature's Claim are in your sideboard because you're not really planning on winning via attacks. So.
Right. The Creeping Chills also offer a buffer for Turnbull's life.
Right.
And you also, generally, the Psi is a little bit better blocker. You want to maintain a good number of the Thopters for your Ironworks for sacrificing the Psi. Though you don't want your Psi to get eaten too easily by the Conflagrate, though Turnbull not shy on cards in hand to do that.
Right.
It sounds like we have a conclusion on the back table, and looks like it is Kiihne over Feeney 2-1.
All right. Well, we're going to come back to the booth here in a second. Let's talk about this particular matchup in general between Dredge and Ironworks. You know, we talked a little bit about Hollow One versus Ironworks. It looks like Ironworks just a little bit too fast for the Hollow One deck to handle.